What if another Earth already exists somewhere out there? Not a world that merely resembles our planet, but a world orbiting a sun-like star, a world receiving nearly the same amount of sunlight as Earth. A world that may have had billions of years, longer for life to evolve. For centuries, humanity believed Earth was unique, the perfect combination of distance, temperature, water, and time. Then, in 2015, astronomers announced a discovery that captured the world's attention. A planet unlike any they had found before. Its name was Kepler-452b, and almost immediately it earned a remarkable nickname: Earth's cousin. At first glance, the comparisons seemed justified. Kepler-452b is a rocky world larger than Earth. It orbits within the habitable zone of a star, very similar to our Sun. And unlike many exoplanets discovered before it, this world didn't seem completely alien. It felt familiar, almost like home. But what truly fascinated scientists wasn't how similar Kepler-452b is to Earth. It was how different it might be, because Kepler-452b is believed to be much older than our planet. Older oceans, older continents, potentially older life. Imagine looking at a version of Earth billions of years into the future. Could that be what Kepler-452b really is? Or is this famous world hiding secrets that make it far less Earth-like than we imagine? This is Kepler-452b, the planet that may show us Earth's future. Kepler-452b is located about 1,400 light-years from Earth in the constellation Cygnus. That means the light reaching our telescopes today left the planet around the time the Roman Empire was beginning to decline. The distances involved are almost impossible to imagine. Yet, despite being so far away, Kepler-452b quickly became one of the most important exoplanets ever discovered. The reason lies in its remarkable similarities to Earth. Kepler-452b orbits a star known as Kepler-452. And unlike many exoplanets found around small red dwarf stars, Kepler-452 is surprisingly similar to our own Sun. It has a comparable temperature, it shines with a similar color, and it belongs to the same class of stars. That's what immediately caught the attention of astronomers, because finding a potentially habitable planet is exciting. Finding one around a Sun-like star is even more exciting. Kepler-452b itself is estimated to be about 60% larger than Earth. Scientists believe it is likely a rocky world, although its exact composition remains uncertain. And most importantly, it orbits within the habitable zone of its star, the region where temperatures may allow liquid water to exist. At first glance, Kepler-452b seemed to check all the right boxes: a Sun-like star, a potentially rocky planet, and an orbit that places it in the right location for life. It sounded almost too good to be true. But before scientists could ask whether life exists there, they first had to answer another question. How did we find a planet so incredibly far away? Finding a planet inside our own solar system is relatively simple. Finding one more than 1,400 light-years away is something entirely different. Kepler-452b is so distant that no telescope can directly photograph its surface. In fact, we have never actually seen the planet itself. Instead, scientists discovered it by watching its star. For years, NASA's Kepler Space Telescope stared at more than 150,000 stars, searching for tiny changes in their brightness. The idea was simple. If a planet passes in front of its star, it blocks a small fraction of the starlight. For a brief moment, the star becomes slightly dimmer. Then it returns to normal. If that dimming happens again and again at regular intervals, it may indicate that a planet is orbiting the star. This technique is known as the transit method, and it's responsible for some of the greatest discoveries in the history of exoplanet science. When astronomers analyzed the light coming from Kepler-452, they noticed a repeating pattern. Every 385 days, the star dimmed slightly, again, and again, and again. Something was passing in front of it, something about the size of a planet. After years of analysis and verification, scientists finally announced the discovery in 2015. Kepler-452b, a potentially rocky world orbiting a sun-like star, a planet located within the habitable zone, and perhaps the most Earth-like world ever discovered at the time. The discovery immediately captured global attention, because for the first time, humanity had found a planet that seemed surprisingly familiar. But just how similar is Kepler-452b to Earth? And could it truly be another version of our own world? At first glance, Kepler-452b looks surprisingly familiar. It orbits a star very similar to our Sun. It follows a nearly Earth-like orbit, and it sits within the habitable zone, the region where temperatures may allow liquid water to exist. These similarities are exactly why scientists nicknamed it Earth's cousin. But Kepler-452b is not an exact copy of our planet. The world is significantly larger than Earth, about 60% wider in diameter. That may not sound like much, but it could make a huge difference. Greater size often means stronger gravity, and stronger gravity may help a planet hold onto a thicker atmosphere, an atmosphere capable of trapping heat and protecting the surface. If Kepler-452b possesses both an atmosphere and liquid water, it could provide conditions suitable for life, at least in theory. Yet there is one important limitation. Kepler-452b is so far away that scientists still know very little about what actually exists on its surface. We don't know whether it has oceans. We don't know whether it has continents. And we don't know whether clouds drift across its skies. For now, much of the planet remains a mystery. But based on everything we've observed, Kepler-452b remains one of the strongest candidates ever discovered in the search for another Earth. And what makes this world even more fascinating is not where it is, but when it is. Because Kepler-452b may be showing us a version of Earth billions of years into the future. What truly sets Kepler-452b apart isn't just its similarity to Earth. It's its age. Scientists estimate that the Kepler-452 system is around 6 billion years old. That's roughly 1.5 billion years older than our own solar system. And that difference changes everything. When we look at Earth today, we're seeing a planet that has spent billions of years evolving. Life emerged, oceans formed, continents shifted, complex ecosystems appeared. Now imagine giving a similar world another 1.5 billion years to develop. What might happen? Some scientists believe Kepler-452b could represent a glimpse into Earth's distant future. Its star is slightly older and brighter than our Sun, and as stars age, they gradually release more energy. That means Kepler-452b may receive more heat today than it did billions of years ago. If the planet once had oceans, they could be changing. If life exists there, it may have had far more time to evolve than life on Earth. Or perhaps the opposite happened. Perhaps increasing temperatures transformed the planet into a hostile world. We simply don't know. And that's what makes Kepler-452b so fascinating. It's not just another potentially habitable planet. It may be a natural experiment taking place billions of years ahead of us. A possible preview of what happens when an Earth-like world grows old. And that raises one final question. If Kepler-452b really is Earth's older cousin, could life have had enough time to appear there? When scientists talk about Kepler-452b, one question always comes up. Could life exist there? The truth is that nobody knows. Kepler-452b is simply too far away for us to study in detail. We cannot see its oceans, we cannot analyze its surface, and we cannot directly search for living organisms. But scientists can look at the conditions that make life possible. And Kepler-452b appears to have several of them. It orbits within the habitable zone of a Sun-like star. It may be a rocky world, and it may have had billions of years for biological processes to develop. On Earth, life appeared surprisingly early, within a relatively short period after the planet became stable enough to support liquid water. If similar conditions existed on Kepler-452b, life may have had an enormous amount of time to evolve. Not millions of years, not hundreds of millions of years, but potentially billions of years. Far longer than life has existed in its current complex forms on Earth. Of course, there is another possibility. Kepler-452b may not be habitable at all. Its larger size could have created conditions very different from Earth. Its atmosphere could be too thick, its temperatures could be too high, or the planet may have experienced a completely different evolutionary path. Right now, all we have are clues, but those clues are enough to make Kepler-452 be one of the most compelling targets in the search for life beyond Earth. Because somewhere around that distant star, a world has been evolving for billions of years. And whatever happened there, happened long before humanity ever existed. Kepler-452b is more than just another exoplanet. It's more than a distant world orbiting a distant star. It may be a glimpse into the future. For billions of years, Earth and the Sun have evolved together. But our Sun is slowly changing, becoming brighter, becoming hotter. And one day, those changes will transform our planet. The same process may already be happening on Kepler-452b. Its star is older than the Sun. Its system has had more time to evolve, and its planet may have experienced conditions that Earth has not yet reached. Perhaps Kepler-452b still has oceans. Perhaps life continues to thrive there. Or perhaps it has already crossed a threshold that transformed it forever. We don't know. And that's what makes this world so important. Because Kepler-452b is not simply another candidate in the search for life. It may be a window into what happens to Earth-like planets as they grow older. A natural experiment taking place 1,400 light-years away. For now, Kepler-452b remains beyond our reach, too distant to visit, too distant to see clearly, but not too distant to inspire us. Because somewhere around a star remarkably similar to our own, a world has been evolving for billions of years. And hidden within that distant future may be the answer to one of humanity's greatest questions. What becomes of an Earth-like world over time? Kepler-452b may not be Earth's twin, but it could be Earth's future. And that possibility makes it one of the most fascinating planets ever discovered.